Okay, guys, you are ready.
Leo with Everyday Legacy Paranormal, along with Road Trip Paranormal. I got my left, I got Ruth. I got Jake. You gonna blow kisses too?
No.
Okay. And the man behind the camera here will be joining us. He blows alright. The man behind us, the camera, will be joining us soon on set is Jason. And we're doing it a little different tonight, like you just saw in the video from the Facebook page. I'll just say post and page at the same time. We're running from a different type of camera tonight, so I apologize for the inconvenience, but hey, still the same great show, same great people. So this is episode number 48.
Woo!
Yep, and climbing. So it's hard to believe we've done that many episodes.
We have a
but
party at 50.
we're gonna do something
That's
for
what I'm
50.
saying,
Yeah,
man.
something
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, something for 50.
We'll figure it out soon enough, and we'll get everybody involved and let you know what's going on. Hang on a second, sorry here. We're crooked, Jason.
We are.
We're upside down.
Yeah.
All right, so I have to do it this way.
Ow, ow.
All right, guys.
Hey, whoa! The
Hey.
ship went over.
Hey.
Okay.
All right.
Which means we can't do.
You're good. You're good.
Let's roast and
Yeah,
scoot
I
over.
can scoot over.
Get a little closer there, Roth.
Oh, watch out, my drink. Let's go.
All right.
And
And I'll just tidy up with
You can go under the table.
Chair
see
space.
if we can get everybody in here tonight.
Was that a short joke?
Nice.
No, we can see him.
Okay, here he is. Hey, that's Jason. All right, guys. Sorry once again about the inconvenience. That looks terrible, but it's all right. And I lost
Hey.
speed. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It's usually not this disorganized. We just had a
Can I still hear you?
yeah. We just can't. The feed's dead online, so we just had technical difficulties. So we're
Still
good.
going.
Yeah.
Still going
once
live.
Again, this is episode 40. I'm just so frazzled right now. It's all good though. We're good. So we'll make it work, man. Jump
Yeah.
on in.
This is what happens when you don't pay your bills.
Yep. Damn light bills. Yep. So, anyways, well, I don't know where to begin. Just it is what it is. So, all right. So, there's been a lot of crazy stuff in the news lately. One we covered on, like I said, earlier episode of the Cryptic Heartland podcast. We'll talk about here in just a second. That was episode number 12, I believe, which was conspiracies. We talked about just different, mysterious deaths, mysterious disappearances. One of the most famous ones was D.B. Cooper, and came out this past week that supposedly the guy's still alive. It's one of the guys we thought about on the show itself. His name was Robert. I can't say the last name right.
Rackshaw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy. If I remember right, he was the grocery store clerk. Is that the one that had a family and everything, and even his own daughter thought it was no. I might be confusing the two, but do you remember this whole Robert Rack? What's his name again? Say it. Rackshaw.
Rackshaw.
You remember the whole what his backline story is? If not, I can get that.
I believe he was military and he had the background just the
That's
same as a
right.
lot of other potential
Yeah, suspects.
suspects.
Right. Yeah.
He was interviewed. He was part of the whole.
They had a whole list
I mean,
of people. Yeah.
they had a list of people. He was He was one of the suspects for a long time, and they interviewed him. He just kept saying, "Well, that's interesting."
Yeah.
Every time they brought something up to him, he'd say, "Well, that's interesting. What do you want me to say?"
I mean, who's gonna admit? Yeah, that's me. Pick
Yeah.
me. I'm one. Let's go to prison.
Yeah. They said he
Yeah.
was the most interesting person out of the interviews, but they could never pinpoint it to him.
Right.
So,
Yeah, you're definitely right. He had the military career behind him.
Yeah.
Yep. He said he was both courageous and audacious. You can't say the word audacious. So, interesting. They said they learned of him. The FBI did in 1978. There's a lot of leads back then. Everybody wanted to figure out who this guy was, and
right.
he was one of them, like you said, on the list.
yeah. Crazy thing is that the statute of limitations to the case,
Mm-hmm.
they can't do anything to him.
Right.
So except the notoriety of being D.B. Cooper, if he will admit to it, which I doubt he will, but
Yeah.
Maybe on stuff, but
maybe.
Yeah.
But
One thing it says here in the 70s, he earned 17 criminal titles, including check forger, a deadbeat dad, a grifter, explosive order, and a violent sociopath, says to name a few. So that's interesting. Guy obviously has a dark seated pass, and
Right.
he supposedly looked like the guy, had different things that resembled him, whoever saw him that night. So obviously he was definitely a person of interest. The thing about it, what came out this week was they received a letter at some point over the years. I can't remember how long ago it was. It wasn't recently, but it was
No, it's maybe
maybe like 2009, I want to say it was. And basically this guy says, I'm DB. There's no DB Cooper, number one. That's just some stupid ass name they made up. The FBI did, He says, I am the person that did this. And he has all kinds of different things that he said to them that basically, in a matter of speaking, kind of pinpoints him, as suspect number one.
It's like how crazy it is that you do something so magnificent and you're in such history books, but as the bad guy, and then years later you finally get the urge to come out and say,
Right.
I did it. That was me in a nonchalant way. It's like what BTK did.
Yeah.
Just started coming out because a book came out about him, and he wanted to tell his own story.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you want to make sure the facts, were right to every crime. Also,
Right.
and also that his name was spelled, right, and just different things like that. That's like we said earlier. That's a perfect sociopath.
Yeah.
I mean, they exhibit that type of behavior, and you get away with it. Just freaking lay low, and you take it to the grave. But these dumbasses can't take if anything he says is wrong, and that's how. My background is in criminal justice. When during the time BTK had got caught, I was actually the class after the BTK that year, and so I had to go through and listen to all everything, see all the interviews, everything, when actually how they caught him, and the police aren't stupid. They'll play your stupid little game. They lure you out on purpose. I mean, that's how they catch those guys. They're like, because guys, especially of this nature, it's like, oh, I'm going to call him something different than, he wants to be called, and then next thing you know, no, that's not my name, I'm going to go crazy and tell you the facts, how it is. It's like, oh, we got that reporter again, lure him out, basically, and next thing you know, especially in the BTK case, it was the fact that he asked the cops, this is how stupid he was, he asked the cops, hey, I have this floppy disk, it can't be traced back to me at all, right?
Right.
Oh no, of course not. No, absolutely not.
Why would
We
you
wouldn't
ask
know how to
such
do
a
that.
thing?
That's impossible. That's no. What were you? And guess what? Okay, cool. Then he goes up there and does his thing, sends some information to them to taunt them some more. And next thing you know, they tear it apart. Hey, look, Dennis Rader. This church out in Valley said, oh, okay, he was one of our suspects.
Park City.
Yeah, Park City. I said, yeah, Valley Center. There's more to the Valley Center story, but I can't really say because it's private information.
Oh.
But
Gotcha.
yeah, the next thing you know, we got our suspect. We're
But
following.
it's happened so long in history with people who are notorious who
Right.
want to come out later on in their life and tell their story.
Right.
And Billy the Kid
Yeah.
was, Brushy Bill Roberts. Was that really
Was he?
Billy the Kid?
William H. Bonney.
There's a lot of evidence saying that it was.
Yeah.
Um,
There's also a lot of evidence that says it's not, though, too. So that's where.
more to the good side of saying it was, though.
I mean, I'm with you on that. I want to believe.
Yeah.
I want to believe.
You want to
but
argue this? We can.
we can have it all night, man. So.
We can argue this. This is-
Definitely.
Poking the bear.
That's what we're here for. Yeah, we're definitely here for that. So.
Yeah, I haven't been on for a while, so I haven't gotten yeah.
We'll get to that. Don't worry. We'll get to that. I like that.
Yeah.
Going back to Robert Rackstraw, they say it? Rackstraw?
Rackstraw or
Okay.
Rackstraw? Yeah, Rackstraw.
Basically, this is what letter that he written. Excuse me. It says, this letter is to let you know I am not dead, but really alive, and just back from the Bahamas. So you silly troopers up there can stop looking for me. This is just how dumb the government is. I like your article about me, but you can stop them now. D.B. Cooper is not real. It says also too, I went out of the system and saw a way through the good old Unc, which is a reference to Uncle Sam, basically,
Yeah.
poking at
Right.
the government.
Right.
It says now it is Uncle's turn to weep and pay one of its own some cash for a charge. And please tell the latchkey cops D.B. Cooper is not my real name. Now there's this guy. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just
Jump
gonna
on
say, if we had all of our gear tonight to do this properly,
Yeah, we can share that.
we'd share the photograph of the composite drawing of the famous D.B. Cooper to Rackstraw. That
Mhm.
they look pretty damn equal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They do. With the glasses on him, and I'd say that's pretty damn
it's pretty
good.
spot on. Yeah,
Spot on.
especially for that time. There is I gotta find it here real quick here. Sorry. This guy named Rick Sherwood. It says a former member of the Army Security Agency. His specialty was to decipher different type of codes and signals and stuff like that for the Army. He noticed, he took the letter and read it. He said he spotted 4 phrases or words that were repeated throughout the note, including D.B. Cooper's not real, uncle or unk, referring to Uncle Sam, the system, and lackey cops. He said that D.B. Cooper and lackey cops appeared in the same sentence as did unk and the system, suggesting to him, Sherwood that is, that the code message could be contained in those sentences. He said that, he uses a special type of system of letters and, numbers, that he was able to say that Robert Rackstraw himself says that he gives up his own name in that letter by matching with whatever he does on the
when you
scene.
decipher, you get
Yeah.
Robert Rackstraw.
Which, take it for a grain of salt.
Isn't it crazy how they tried to do the whole ciphering thing? It's just like, you have that, you have the Zodiac, you have you have BTK, you have all these criminals who are using codes in
Right.
the ciphers, and
I suppose it's all part of the thrill.
but it's something that started back with George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and the Revolutionary War, and everything they did. Everything was through codes.
Right.
Everything decipher this and that. That's how they communicated with each other. So it's been around for a long
Right.
time to do that kind of stuff.
And even Short himself says, he told the newspaper, he said, this is Rackstraw, this is what he does, this is his motif kind of thing he does. I guess he's written letters to him before, or even when they talked to him, interviewed him in the past, that, this is how he... Some guys like this nature, they try to act like they're too smart than the government or the, police themselves. They try to think that they outthink them, basically. You watched, what's the show we just watched recently? Evil Genius?
Yeah, I still have one episode to go, but
Oh, well, I can't.
yeah. No.
Well, I was gonna say.
Nicole already told me, and everybody already told me how it goes.
Well, the guy itself that was possibly involved had that same kind of persona where he thought he was above the government. I'm too smart for you guys. I'm
Yeah,
intellectual.
the overalls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm too intellectual.
Idiot.
And I just, once again, I watched that whole, there's only 4 episodes. That's a great watch if you get a chance to. Check it out on Netflix. It's called Evil Genius.
But if you're afraid of hoarders, oh my God.
Everybody in that damn
You're
show was
gonna,
a hoarder.
you're gonna freak out on how bad these people were hoarders.
Yeah, it was gross.
Disgusting
Yep.
hoarders.
But same thing. He was a sociopath, like one of the guys in there, and try to play the whole "I'm too smart for you guys. You're never gonna catch me." But he doesn't really admit everything. Even without coming out saying I did something, he does involve himself in it. I didn't kill this person, but I helped.
I
Did
wrapped
this.
him up, I
I
put him
cared
in
him.
the freezer,
So-
I held the secret, I did all this,
Yeah.
and everything,
Yeah, it's just funny to see people, if you can, from outside looking in, how they can just carry themselves like that. And it's like, man, there's a lot of crazy ass people out there in the world.
There are. Evil genius or not, clean your damn house.
Yeah, you
God.
definitely
Throw
gotta
stuff
watch
away.
it. It's bad,
You don't
dude.
need to keep
They
that.
show the guy frozen in the freezer. They had to break it apart and pry him out of there. He's like in a fetal position, frozen, wrapped up in tarps and stuff.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty gnarly. It is.
But it starts with the whole explosion. The guy with the bomb around his neck.
Yeah.
Oh, I
And
actually
then-
saw that
yeah,
one.
and
it
Yeah, that's the
explodes.
only one I've seen, man.
Oh,
That's the one that stems from. 'Cause
Like halfway through it, I was like, I think this is the one you were telling me about, and then
Yeah.
it goes off. I'm just like, yep, that was it.
I just remember my wife in the bedroom watching the show, and then she's like, oh my God.
Oh
The
man,
bomb just went off, and I missed it.
It
and
just-
she's like,
Did
it's
you watch
crazy.
it?
Not yet.
not yet.
I went from that moment after he's laying there on the
Oh,
ground
man.
on forward.
Yeah, I remember when that story was a thing. Not at the time, but just in fact that I remember hearing about it because it's been.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year that was
Yeah.
off the top of my head, but yeah, it was a famous
90s, I'm pretty sure.
thing, a bank robbery with the bomb around somebody's neck, and
Yeah.
kept saying he didn't do it, and get this thing off of me, and guy never.
It's like
Tell
something
them
right out
about
of the
it.
movie Seven.
Yeah.
It really, yeah,
Yeah.
it really
Yeah.
was.
The thing is, though, I wish I could tell you more. I wish you would have saw it so we can talk more about it.
No, go ahead. 'Cause I kind of know what the whole down of it is.
All the key players that are involved or not involved are all dead now at this point. So unfortunately, so we'll never know the truth 100%. They kind of come out and say,
I knew the guy in the overhauls died.
yeah. So and then if that guy was involved with the bomb around his neck, obviously he's dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to like I said, D.B. Cooper in this case. What if this is the guy? I mean, Robert Rackstraw. What if that's him?
That'd be amazing.
I mean, but we'll never
Yeah.
probably fully know because you know the FBI and them. It always baffles me. I mean, they do follow these leads up every lead of substance. They
But they
They
did
know.
cancel the investigation to it. Like they weren't really going to do anything unless something really extremely vital or legit came through, and they thought, okay, it's worth sending out an agent or two
yeah,
to check it out.
right.
When the statute's up, they're not gonna spend a ton of time on it.
Yeah, I mean, they can't go and arrest the guy.
No.
It's pretty much just sit down and talk to him and like, how did you do this?
Mm-hmm.
And you screwed us over this whole time. But FBI isn't going to say that out loud.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they're not going to say, well, you kind
Yeah,
of,
you got
you
us.
pulled our underwear over our head, basically, on this. We
Yeah.
thought you were dead.
Yeah. There's just so many fascinating stories behind that whole D.B. Cooper thing. I mean, we talked about it on that previous episode that, I mean, they're still finding clues. It's up to this
Yeah,
day.
that was
I-
almost a year ago. They just found a pair of what they think's a parachute strap.
Yeah.
In the desert.
Out there.
And
yeah.
I
Yeah.
truly thought it was Kenny Christensen.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, yeah.
Because of the photograph of him walking in, the fact that he was an employee of the airline.
Mhm.
He, up until the night of the hijacking, he wore a toupee. After that, didn't wear a toupee.
Right.
He matched somewhat of the description. He knew how everything worked. He was a military parachuter.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he knew how to do that. He practiced in Alaska in cold weather parachute. He knew how to do this. There's a
Right.
photograph of him walking into his apartment that his brother took, and he's carrying a satchel that looked just like what he was given, or BD Cooper was
BB.
given.
BB. He said
BB.
BD. He said BD.
Sorry.
BG Cooper.
Yeah,
We're
sorry.
doing like hybrid.
Cooper
villains
was
now.
given, yeah, the same satchel. So,
Alter
and
egos.
the look on his face, you know, was like, oh shit, why are you taking this photograph?
Well, the thing that Ruth brought up during that episode, and you probably don't remember this, but you did. You looked at that day. No, I'm saying, maybe you do, because I don't know
I probably
how
did.
versed are you with the. I mean,
He's kind of getting
the case.
number in mind.
He almost died on air a minute ago.
he was choking to death over here.
It was
But
nice.
Ruth had looked at that morning of the show before we came on there that day, and he was talking about how they, even as recently, they were looking at the chemicals on the tie and the clothing, whatever, where it was tied in with somebody who they traced it back to Boeing. Remember that or
Yeah,
not?
the dad worked at Boeing.
Yeah,
It's
that's right.
possible. And that was recently, the chemicals. Yeah, so, and some of those guys fit that mold. I don't know about Kenny Christensen. Is that his name Christensen?
Yeah, he just worked for the airline. He didn't work,
Okay.
you know, he was like,
Right.
I mean, he wore white shirt and tie
Yeah.
and worked
Where
on
did
the
this
plane.
guy work at?
Which is Robert
Yeah.
Rackstraw? He was military,
Yeah.
and then he went to crime.
He was a former Army paratrooper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I mean, people nowadays, you can take the jump. You can pay to take the jump. There's a plane, same type
Yeah.
of plane. They go up to the same level, same speed.
You do the DB
They
Cooper
lower
jump?
they
Yeah.
lower the ramp, and
Yeah.
you can run out and parachute out and do the DB Cooper jump. You can do it. So
But,
people
are
are
they-
surviving. They're
But are
not.
they giving you the type of parachute you would have had
Well,
back then
no,
and stuff?
You don't go in the actual force.
And
unless
you're not
Yeah.
dropping into the force.
It's-
You're not
Yeah, I'm sure
dropping
it's
in
not
cold,
nighttime.
cold,
It's
wet. Yeah.
it's a
what was it?
specific landing spot because Josh Gates did it when
Yeah.
he did his episode on Expedition Unknown. He did the
Mhm.
exact
Just
same
showing
thing.
that you can
Yeah.
jump from
It's possible.
You can do
a
it.
passenger
Yeah.
plane like that and make it.
Right.
Now, given the temperatures and the whatever,
Yeah.
if you're an experienced parachuter, you can.
Yeah. I mean, military guys, especially that,
They
they
practice.
have to. They jumped in, during
In
different
Alaska,
wars.
man, and if you practice even out in Alaska and stuff like that, you learn to jump out in cold weather.
Yeah.
And who knows what was underneath the suit? You
Right.
have no idea.
Right. Exactly.
No one knows.
Jimmy talked to the stewardess that day, the one he came back and he made a sit by her until he told her at the very end to go up to the front.
Yeah.
And, you know,
What was in his briefcase could have been completely fake.
Yeah,
He
fake
pulled it
ball.
up and could have been wearing a mask and all kinds of stuff. Who
nobody
knows?
Because none of that stuff has been located. Other than some of the money was found in recent years, maybe 10 years ago.
But it almost looks like it was planted.
Could be. That's just it. They throw people off the, you know, the helm
If I
off the
drop
scent.
some of this and hide it
Yeah.
and cover it, they'll think I died.
Right.
And then I can just leave.
Yeah. Up in that area, in the Portland area, in that Oregon area, they celebrate them to this day. There's that one town up there
Yeah.
that does a big festival.
yeah.
Yeah,
Huge
there's a
festival.
bar up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if he did do it and he had all that money, but we don't know if he lost the money during the jump or.
Who knows what he did?
Who knows, but to end up with like a hoarder and end up like he is, he's didn't turn out too.
Well, I
bad.
don't know how he is. I don't know if he's a hoarder or not.
Yeah,
I
nobody
don't-
knows.
I mean,
100%.
I think the TV show that came out like last year
Yeah.
or sometime.
Uh-huh.
I know we were watching at home. They were like heading over to, I think it was him actually, because it was
To
all
Robert
kind-
Axtell?
I think so,
Was
because
it?
because he's still alive, and then
Yeah.
and it was all kind of pointing in his direction,
Mm-hmm.
and they were heading to his house.
Can't remember. That's been a while since I've seen that.
But I don't think he, he didn't want to talk. He didn't want to be on air or anything like that. Like, get out of my face.
Well, one thing about him too, Robert Axtell says 5 months before the hijacking occurred, he was booted out of the army.
Yeah.
So who doesn't have a personal vendetta against the government to save face? I mean,
Yeah.
this guy has a perfect,
But he went to
Alibi.
paratrooper
Yeah.
and aviation schools.
and he's explosives and all that stuff. So
So-
he knew quite a bit of stuff. I mean, most people, the common folk, shouldn't know. So it makes you wonder. I mean, who the hell knows?
See, I love all these mysteries.
Yeah.
Of like, who did what? Did it really happen? I love that stuff. I love
Right.
it.
I wish we had the damn capability to show you guys, but it says this picture they put side by side that we looked at earlier. It said there's 9 points that match, whether it be from the nose to the eyes to the hairline, things of that thing. There's 9 points on there that actually line up.
Yeah.
It's really
It
interesting.
makes you wonder if is it him? Why not?
I mean, if you pull it up on your phone, I could take it over to the camera.
Yeah, you can do that.
That way we can see it.
When we talked about earlier, he was good about letters and codes, Army codes. That's what he did.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
that's his specialty. So, yeah, who knows, man? Maybe this was a guy. I'm pulling up right now.
All
Wait
right.
a second here.
So we'll pull it up. And I'll take it over to the camera.
If I can get it pulled up.
We apologize for not having everything like we usually do.
I feel like this is our first show ever. And, hey,
Yeah.
a couple of guys that want to do a show. Just like everybody.
Oh, that's everybody. We always want to do a show. Everybody wants to do a show.
Well, today. I'm just kidding. There we go. I just lost it. God damn it. So looking, sorry.
Operator error.
Yeah. But there it goes.
All right.
It's not the way it should.
All right.
Best.
All right, guys.
Yep. So Jason's gonna walk that up there and show you guys. Hopefully it's still on there.
So this is,
Come out.
if you guys can tell, that the right here is the depiction of D.B. Cooper, who this is the one where they depict what he looked like without the sunglasses, because while he was on the plane, he was always having the sunglasses on. But this is Rackshaw, who Rackstraw.
Not so easy, is it?
No, it's not.
Rickshaw.
But
Yes.
Anyway.
He was a Chinese valet. Let's say. Okay.
Rick
Alright.
Straw.
Yeah. So not too bad.
Rack straw.
Hey, there we are. Watching Jake drink a drink. So yeah, it makes you wonder if this guy, like we said, is
If
there,
it is
isn't.
him.
I mean, God, there's a lot of mysteries like that you wish they could, solve. I mean, there's, what do you call it, Zodiac Killer that they never solved.
Yeah.
The
So, I got-
Boston Strangler, Hillside Strangler, they never really
You
officially
always have
solved.
I got a question for you two.
Oh my God.
So you
What
guys
about
have
Jake?
big history.
Uh,
Well, Jake.
Jeez,
Okay,
Jake,
you
I
can
got
throw
your
your,
back.
your
I'm not
opinion
a
in this.
person.
Okay, so you guys, I know that you guys love doing this.
Nope.
No,
If
hate
it is him,
it.
are you disappointed
No.
No,
that he was found?
I want a
then-
story. If it
Yeah,
was,
exactly. You say it, yeah.
Say it.
Yeah.
It's bittersweet.
Because now,
It's bittersweet.
because I know when you talk, it's oh, it couldn't have been this, couldn't be. No, it's not that guy. It's this guy. And now it could be.
It could
and you
be
were
this
wrong.
guy.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
yeah, you were wrong.
It could be.
How you feel?
I feel like he's trying to push, but I really don't care.
Spoken.
No.
Here.
Come on, I'm not the bear. I'm not the bear. Poke the bear.
No, I just
No,
think
no,
it's
no.
interesting because
It
I
is.
remember the last time we talked about this, you even talked about that guy.
Can't
And
get
you
your
almost
shit.
had me convinced. And so now,
Well, it's just the fact that I was watching an episode of Brad Metzler's Decoded, you know,
I've seen that
and,
earlier.
and it's a TV show, but
Right.
they went out to actually investigate and follow the trail of D.B. Cooper and who it kind of pinpointed, and they were focusing more on Kenny Christensen because shortly after the hijacking, like I said, he went without his toupee. He changed his look a little bit.
so why
He
would
was
you do
able
that?
to
Yeah.
buy a house when he was like really strapped for money. All of a sudden he had money. He even paid off some of his friends' debts and stuff. He bought a house, all this stuff. And then he just kind of laid low and didn't do anything else. And then his brother years later found the picture of him walking in with a trench coat on and kind of like what looked like D.B. Cooper outfit walking in, and it was a Polaroid, you know, and he's carrying the satchel that looked just like what Cooper was given with ransom money from the plane, from the hijacking. It all fit.
Mhm.
And then they even searched the house. The house is now a photography business. It's like a Photoshop print shop,
Oh, wow.
basically, nowadays. But they even went up into the attic and they were like looking around it, and they found like cubby holes up there in the attic that looked like where you could hide stuff if need to underneath the insulation. It just was too coincidental.
Yeah.
And you never know. It could
But-
still not be this guy.
Who knows?
Or that guy could have committed some other crime.
Yeah, or he committed some other crime.
Yeah.
Because he was also getting, you know, basically screwed over by the airline, him and a bunch of other workers and the whole staff, you know, Northwestern, I believe it was.
Yeah.
They were just really screwing over their employees and taking away things and benefits, and then all of a sudden hijacking.
Yeah.
It just made sense when they show it. But then again, that's a TV show trying to push you in a direction.
Right.
Right.
But then you get other investigators, and they're looking at they look at him, but then they eventually fade away from him, and they went Rackstraw and others who supposedly could have done it.
And to also answer your question, what happens if they capture him and we find out that was this guy or that guy? I mean, that's just the first half of the story. Now you got the whole new second half of the
Yeah,
story.
what is he
Why did he
doing?
do it? What, you know?
How'd you survive?
How did you survive it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd
Why-
you survive it? How'd you go under, you know, without being, you know, noticed all these years? What have you been doing the last, you know,
Right.
30
Yeah.
years or whatever? I mean,
That would be
that's
interesting.
just the tip of the
Yeah.
iceberg.
Yeah.
Two different stories, yeah. So,
Whoever
may
it
never
is,
know.
come out and say,
yeah,
they're not gonna take you away now.
yeah. Come on the show and tell them.
Yeah.
But so
Oh,
far,
yeah.
he's not wanting anything
The
to
phone
do
number's
with it.
usually there.
As far as I know, he
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
want
what
to.
I
Yeah.
So we'll see though, because the FBI, like I said, put it aside. Said, I'm not gonna get that letter anymore. We're done with it.
And speaking of like serial killers or mass criminals and all that stuff,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know if you guys watched that show I was talking to you about it was called It's Him.
Sorry.
Ladies
Don't
and
get all choked
gentlemen, smoking is bad.
No,
I'm
it's
kidding.
okay.
I'm kidding.
Here's a PSA. Yeah.
Besides,
Just kidding.
my God, I might quit drinking.
Yeah, you need to quit drinking.
You got an amateur here, a newbie, first timer.
Sorry.
So, but that TV show it's called It's Him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys all saw it. It's about Ed Edwards, and it was about a guy who it was an investigator who tried to connect into a series of famous killings, from
Right,
the Black Dahlia to John Benet Ramsey to the Peterson killing to
Lacey Peterson.
Lacey Peterson to all kinds of stuff. But the main one was what was it? Him being the Zodiac.
Oh, gotcha.
Him being the Zodiac. But this guy, he was even on a TV show.
You're right.
He was on a game show
Yeah.
where they, you know, it's like they have the three contestants.
Like a
you know,
dating game or something.
who
like that.
are? It's kind of. It wasn't dating.
Yeah, it was
was
something
like
like that.
it was like
who is it really? You know,
Yeah.
so you got three people playing the character of like, you know, I am this person. This person was a serial killer or a criminal, criminal, and I did this. And each person, two of them are actors, one person is the real person.
Right.
This guy was on the show doing his real self, and the contestants were supposed to guess who the real person. And he was this reformed person. You know, I used to be this criminal, but now I'm reformed. But then he would do talk shows. The whole show had him actually talking, and the whole intro was him saying, you know, I did this and I did that, and then, you know, my name is Ed Edwards, you know, and,
Right.
and you hear the voice, and he's just so calm and like,
Once again, sociopath.
Yeah.
Yep.
and yet they're connecting him to the possibility of being like the Zodiac killer,
It's crazy.
because he fit the locations, he fit the timeline, he fit whatever. I mean, it was pretty.
Yeah.
Now, all those killings, not so much, but Zodiac, pretty damn good ringer for that.
It's insane, man. I mean,
And he was just on TV and just he wrote a book. Wrote a book. You can get it at the library.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are nuts, man.
And it could be the Zodiac,
Right.
but it's just the fact that they're all on TV. I mean,
Yeah, it was baffles me, guys like that, how they have too much information about a case,
Mhm.
but yet police are like, yeah, maybe not. I mean, some of that stuff's unreleased, but it doesn't. I'm not saying that doesn't mean they can't get it from a different source or whatever.
Right.
But the fact that some of those guys are too close to the actual crimes, and you can't pinpoint it on them, or you know.
and he was even working with the same group and ring of criminals that were associated with Jimmy Hoffa.
Mhm.
And he even knew Jimmy Hoffa and talked to him and went to dinner with him and stuff, and they kind of considered maybe he's the one who actually
Right.
knocked him off.
It's crazy.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah. But
Anyway,
all right, Mr. Billy the Kid, what do you want to talk about?
oh shit. So what do you want to know?
Is it or isn't him?
Well, okay, so get to the facts of like, what do you guys know?
Which
Well,
one?
You guys can know a lot of shit, so you better ask these two.
So Billy the Kid, one of my favorite history people.
Right.
Of course, everyone believes he was shot and killed by Pat Garrett.
Right.
Even though immediately after the shooting, Garrett's one of the deputies, first thing he said was, "You just shot the wrong man." They held a private autopsy, had to call in a coroner,
Right.
went in there, didn't like how the coroner did it, so they had to call in somebody else. And then eventually Pat Garrett signs off on everything himself. They quickly bury the body. There is no photograph.
They always took pictures of dead people back
Thank you.
then.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if somebody as famous as Billy the Kid,
You
Yeah.
want?
you
You
would have
paraded out the
taken
street.
a photograph.
Yeah.
But
They
he
took
didn't.
pictures of regular old dead
There's
people.
none. They
Yeah.
quickly buried the body. Quickly.
Right.
And then enough said. Pat Garrett went to go collect on his money, and he never really got it. Because everybody was kind of pissed off that it went down the way it went down.
If that's
So, now, the whole story of, here in history, we all know the story. Pat Garrett did it
Right.
because he wrote a book,
Yes.
The Life and Times of Billy the Kid.
Right.
The loser will never be able to tell their story. The winner will always tell their story. Well, if Billy the Kid really did die, then you only hear Pat Garrett's story. If Billy the Kid was just given a free way to get the hell out of business, you still get just Pat Garrett's story. You never hear anything else. That's it.
Yep.
So fast forward to many years later, and I believe it was in the 40s, early 40s. Yeah, a guy named Brushy Bill living out in Texas. He comes forward and says that he contacts a lawyer, wants to get the pardon that he always was promised by the governor
Right.
of Mexico.
Right.
And he said, "What the hell pardon are you wanting?" He said, "Well, I want the pardon for thank you for all the crimes that I did, and for helping out the state, trying to get everything for the Lincoln County War,
Right.
and to be pardoned for Sheriff Brady's murder, all that. I was promised this by the governor," and then he reneged on it.
Right.
But it was like, I guess it was like, I don't know if it was all signed in a whatever, but it was
Right.
promised by Lew Wallace, who famous, governor back in the
Wallace,
time.
yeah.
He did what was the movie, that book that he wrote?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, sorry.
Look real fast.
But yeah, Lew Wallace was the governor, and he promised him. So the lawyer was like, "Well, who the hell are you?" He said, "Well, I'm, William H. Bonney." It's like, he's basically like, "No way." Shows him the scars, he tells the stories, he does everything. They even meet up with all the former, who are still alive at the time in the early 40s,
Right.
members of the gang. It was like a reunion. They were all hugging, they were shaking hands, they were like reminiscing on stories, and remember when we did this and this and this. The lawyer's fine, like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. Let's set this up. I'm going to get you in front of the new governor now. We're going to talk about your pardon and everything. And it was supposed to have been a private meeting with the governor. Well, the governor finds out I'm going to be possibly talking to Billy the Kid.
Right.
So he makes it a frenzy. He has the reporters. He has the grandchildren of, Pat Garrett's son. He has Brady's children, Sheriff Brady's children there. Like, all these people show up. Brushy Bill walks in with his lawyer, sees all this commotion and everything, has a heart attack. 2 weeks later, he's dead because he couldn't handle it. It stressed him out so bad, he just, went down. So therefore, never will hear from him again.
Right.
You won't hear the story again. But they say that if you actually match up like the one photograph with Brushy Bill, you can almost see the comparisons in that. And a former FBI agent, even who does photo comparisons, says probably like 95% accuracy, this is one and the same person.
Right. By the way, that book was Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur,
Yeah.
yes, Ben-Hur.
That's
Lew
what it
Wallace,
was. Yep.
yes.
I drew a blank too, like, what the hell?
Because he's famous. I mean, Ben-Hur was like a major, it was
Into a
just
movie, and
yeah.
it's out there. What about the claims when they actually dug up his body and exhumed his body and matched DNA, and it was false?
Who did they dig up?
The body they thought was,
Billy the Kid?
right.
Because the
Or even
body.
Rushy Bill Roberts, Ollie P, whatever his name was, Ollie P.
Well, who are they going to do DNA to?
Well,
That's
they
the
tried to get
thing.
his daughter, I thought it was. Let me see real quick here, I was reading it right now.
But how are you going to do it to compare
His
to
mother.
Billy the Kid?
It said,
Catherine McCarty?
Antrim.
Antrim?
Yeah, same thing. Said it was DNA would be tested and compared with that of the body buried at William Bonney's grave.
See, William Bonney's body, actually, there's no body
But
there.
they said 2012 it hasn't been exhumed yet.
You know
So-
why? Because the actual grave
Right.
in the body that was buried back when Pat Garrett did it
Yeah.
has washed away in a flood.
Yeah.
There's no body.
Right. Yep.
In Fort Sumner, yeah, there's no body anymore.
Right.
So when you go out there to the gravestone and everything, you're just seeing a gravestone.
Right.
There's no body there. It's all gone. So there's no way to
That's
actually
crazy.
do any DNA or any testing or anything like that.
Yep.
I love it. I've been reading this stuff for years. I
Right,
love
I
it.
could
right.
sit there for hours and listen to it.
Yeah. It's interesting because it just the controversy behind it, conspiracy. I mean, just.
I mean,
everything.
even if there was a skeleton there, what would you compare the DNA to?
I mean, I guess they know where
There
his
wasn't
mom
any
is and
records
everything,
back
but
then.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
they know his mom's where she's.
yeah, I mean, Catherine McCarty or Antrim, when she was here in Wichita, it was McCarty.
Yeah.
When her and Billy and her other son, and he's got relatives. He's got a younger brother
Right.
and stuff, but There's
Yeah, I
just
don't know,
no.
man.
There's in Fort Sumner, New Mexico. There is no William H. Bonney buried at that grave because it's been washed away.
Now, the big mystery is we gotta find the skeleton in like an archaeological dig.
Who knows where that is? You'd have to know.
Well,
You know.
that's why it's
Yeah.
a mystery.
I know. That's what they would have to do, but no one's going to do it. So that's the crazy thing.
Unless it just shows up someday.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's
I don't
a
know.
fascinating story, man. Regardless, they said there as of 2010, they were still trying to get a pardon request done.
yeah, I think it was
Nothing.
yeah. It was just recently when the governor at New Mexico, as he was leaving,
Last day.
finally decided to not pardon Billy Kid. Had that opportunity
Yeah.
to do it, still decided not to
So
because it
last
was,
day of office, he said not gonna do it. Citing historical ambiguity. I can't say that word.
Ambiguity.
Yeah, never said that. Yeah.
But there's so many people at the time of the shooting of Sheriff Brady. Billy's even saying, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
The only thing I did was run out there and grab my rifle that was taken from me, and I ran away with my rifle. Everybody else was firing and shooting.
Right.
He's like, I did not pull the trigger on him. But because of my name and stature at the time, I was given credit for it. He said, I was given credit for so many shootings, and I wasn't even in that state at the time. He could tell the whole story.
Right.
You know, even when he was alive, he was saying this. He's like, I didn't do it. But you know,
Yep.
criminal or not criminal, you can believe him or not believe him. You know, but it, you know, it's the old West. It's 1880, so
Right. Like Jake said, the records are
yeah.
the most up to date kind of a thing. One of my favorite movies is Young Guns.
Oh,
And
mine's
Young Guns
good.
too. I love that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some part of history that's truth to that, and they show
Oh, yeah.
different things, but some of it's still kind of their own Hollywood.
They did do the whole Hollywood thing,
Yeah.
like Charlie was not supposed to die at the
Yeah.
house.
He died elsewhere.
He
So
died,
Same
you know,
thing with
part two. You know,
Dirty
in part
Steve,
two,
Yeah.
when Dirty Steve.
He died elsewhere.
In part two, where Doc dies,
That's him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's supposed to be
Yeah.
Charlie dying.
Yeah, in real
They
life,
only
yeah.
did it because Kiefer Sutherland couldn't
Yeah.
commit to the filming at the time.
Right.
So they
Yep.
killed him off instead.
Yep.
But in real life, Doc Holliday, Doc Skurlock,
Yeah.
and Chavez and all them, they lived.
Yeah.
They lived
They
on.
lived the old age, basically.
Yeah.
Yep. That's crazy.
I love this stuff.
Oh, I did too,
Talking
yeah.
about the
That's
Old West
interesting how they
all day
changed
long.
the story a little bit, but yeah. Yep.
But
I
if you
love
really want to talk about some stuff, then you got Jesse James.
Oh god. That's another. This is crazy. I mean, it adds to their mystique. I mean, the whole they're outlaws, but yet they're put up there, on a pedestal because there's just so many mysteries surrounding them and conspiracies for that matter.
Yeah.
It's just same thing with him. Is where is he? Did he survive? Did he? I mean, nobody knows. That's just it.
Yeah, because a lot of people think they got him in the house, didn't they? So they think.
So they think.
So they think.
So they think.
Yeah. Well,
So
what's the-
I have you guys been there?
No, yeah, I know you've been there. We talked about it so many times.
Yes, I have.
I've
been
never
there.
been there.
Which
I'd
one?
love to go.
I may be thinking of the wrong one. It's the one where they have the tunnel built underneath there,
Yeah,
so they can run. Okay,
That's
different
Dog
one.
Gang.
That's Dog
Dog.
Gang.
That's in
Okay.
Washington, Kansas.
Okay.
Yep.
This is in St. Joe, Missouri.
Missouri.
Okay.
That's,
Tiny little house.
Yep.
Tiny little house. They've moved it from the original property up to the top of the hill.
right.
Now it's a museum you can walk through. You can stare at the wall where the hole in the wall is, where supposedly when Bob Ford shot him, because as every outlaw ever does, is stand onto a chair to straighten and clean off a picture. Every outlaw does that. Without any guns, with two guys who are kind of crazy in the first place. And the bullet goes through and through,
Right.
right?
Right.
Which is, I don't know how they get this wrong so bad. But the bullet never went through and through. It never did. Why? Because if you read the newspaper and the coroner's autopsy of the body during court, he even says he found the slug right here behind the left ear.
Mm-hmm.
It never left the body to create that hole that everybody
Right.
thinks
How's
is
that possible?
his.
Yeah.
What it looks like is that he wasn't shot from going up. He was shot from down below like a murder.
Right.
And the body that's frozen in the casket and everybody's viewing it, and you can look it up online and see it. People don't grow hair back when you have a receding hairline as bad as he did. This guy in the casket with ice had hair that was pretty prominent,
full,
pretty full.
Yep.
And even by everybody's like, this is not him. It took several hours, if not a day, for all the friends of Jesse and his brother Frank to tell the mom, yes, this is Jesse in the casket.
Yeah,
she kept
didn't-
saying no.
She didn't believe it all the way in the end.
She's like, no, that's
No.
not. No, that's not my son. What are you guys doing? They're like,
I believe
Mom,
there was even like
stop
interviews
it.
afterwards where she
Yeah.
still didn't believe that was.
yeah. She's like, that's
That was
not
him.
my son. It's not him. What are you guys freaking doing? They're like, would you shut the fuck up? You know, because they were trying to
Right,
get
trying to
him
pass it off,
out.
yeah,
Right.
They're
yeah.
trying to get him away from the hole because it was starting to close in on him.
Yep.
And Frank, being the brother he was trying to get him out, and everybody else. You know.
Right.
So the conspiracy went down, you know, and they shot a different person,
Once again.
and he was seen. What was his name? Townsend in town. He's going under the alias of something Townsend.
I think it's Townsend, yeah.
He was hanging around another guy who was about the same build, same beard.
Mm-hmm.
They looked quite a lot alike and
Right.
everything, and then that guy disappears.
It's crazy.
And if you look at all the bruising and everything that's on him, he has blood on his shirt and everything. It looked like from being pistol whipped in the head and then shot, and then he falls and like lands down. You know?
Right.
It all like matches. Like if you do a forensic study on it,
Yeah.
it does. It looks like and it was like shot from here, not from here. It's like, come on, people.
Yeah. I don't know.
And the fact that they're still finding treasures,
Yep.
supposedly near his hideouts and finding the trails, and it's got the two J's,
Jays.
marked and everything. They're finding that, and the money is dating post his death
Right.
and stuff. It's just
That's what I love about living where we live. It's just there's how many times they come through this area, you know, do their
Oh,
things.
yeah.
And, I mean, all those guys, you know, from obviously White Earp to Jesse James to
who knows who passed through
Everybody.
here, you know.
this was just a hot spot of the old West, and it's like, man, I love that shit. I want the truth though, damn it. You asked if we wanted to find the answers. I want the answers. I would love to know the true story behind everything. I mean, even to those guys. I mean, God, that's awesome. We may never know. We probably won't.
Yeah.
It's
So
just
then what are your thoughts of what happened to him?
probably got away.
I think
lived in old age.
they committed the murder on this guy.
Yeah.
They set it all up, and then he bailed.
Yeah. He got away.
He got away.
That's cool.
It was all part of the whole concept of the South will rise again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a lot of them truly believe, is that the South was going to rise again.
Yeah.
And they were setting all these treasures, you know, they were robbing not for like their own personal benefit, it was
Right.
robbing to help different fractions of the former Confederacy and everything to try and build their treasure back up, because, I mean, they lost most of their fortune during the war.
Right.
So it was like, what can
Like
we
a
do
modern
to like,
day Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Well, not modern
Yeah.
day, but you know, for the times,
Yeah.
yeah. That's kind of what he's been known as.
yeah,
You know,
closest
compared
thing to
yeah.
modern day, you know.
Yeah. Which is
Right.
it's crazy in itself. I mean, he wasn't everything's about villainous outlaw. He really wasn't. I mean, yes, he killed people, robbed
Yeah.
banks, or robbed trains and banks. But
Yeah.
yeah, most of the trains though, wasn't it?
Trains, they did the first
Especially
daylight.
Pinkertons.
Yeah, he
I
only
think they
robbed
did the-
Pinkertons, I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
Yeah, I
He
think.
didn't rob usually like the
No,
regular people
not the
that were on
passenger
there.
trains,
No,
stuff like that.
no,
No, it was
no.
Pinkertons.
Anything
It's,
like
it's the
that.
government at the time.
Right.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, it makes sense. It all adds up on paper, but not the death part.
I'm gonna take you guys soon to where his childhood farm is.
Yeah.
That place will blow your mind, because everything there is still pretty much
Right.
original from when he was young. His mom was living there with her younger brother.
Mhm.
The house was built onto by Frank and his wife. Everything in there is still the same.
I was just looking at it a little bit ago.
Oh my
Those
god.
pictures of looking
I've
at
been
the
there
bands
so
and
many
stuff.
times. Nicole and I even got to free roam the place.
Oh, nice.
And
Oh, yeah, you told me
the
that,
tour
yeah.
guide just said,
Yeah.
touch whatever you want. It's
Yeah.
okay. You guys are here by yourselves. And I'm like, you know,
Trying not
I'm
to
like,
fall.
I'm like trying,
Sleep
I'm
on the
touching
bed.
the bed, you know, I'm pushing on
Yeah.
on the mattress and everything, and I'm like, is this the real, like,
Yeah.
hunters used to use it as a cabin,
Right.
and they could see the photos on the wall and everything, and it's the James
That's
family,
insane.
you know, and nobody stole anything
Right.
except for the only thing stolen was the 2 legs off the ice box
Oh, really?
from Frank's section of it.
Oh, wow.
Him and his wife. That was the only 2 things stolen from the place. Everybody else just kept it the way it was and just kind of guarded
Respected
it.
it.
Yeah. And now they've renovated it and they had, you know,
Preserved, yeah.
it
Mhm.
and everything, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
You can still see the blast marks from when the Pinkertons threw the bomb in.
Yeah.
Not a bomb, but it was a bomb.
Right.
Exploded in the house, killed the younger brother, blew mom's arm off,
Alright.
everything. You can still see the blast marks in the fireplace. It's crazy.
Wow.
Like this preserved piece of history. It's amazing.
Yep. Crazy stuff, man. It's
And
cool, though.
Nicole hated history, but she thought that was pretty damn cool. She thought it was awesome. She hated, yeah.
That's fun. Craziness, yeah. I love hearing all this history and the Old West.
I could go on and on
Dude.
all night.
We've had before. I think you and I tell the same stories all the time to each other,
I know.
but we still eat
And
that
they're
shit
still
up.
good.
Oh,
And
yeah,
we eat
so
this shit
yeah.
up every day. It's just like it's so much fun, man. It's just, and that's kind of what I got into paranormal because the historical fact side of things. You know, if I'm talking like I said to somebody from the past, shit, that's
Oh, yeah.
that's awesome.
Like
Man.
I was saying last time, half the fun at the events is when the people come before it starts and tell about
Mm-hmm.
the place. That's like one of the funnest parts for me.
We had to
Find
go
out
behind the
all that.
scenes of places that. shit,
We're
lucky,
we're in the spots where all this historical stuff happened,
right?
and you get to run around in it all night long. Like when we did Boot Hill,
That was fun.
I'm sorry, I kept pausing to read stuff and look at stuff, and yeah, I know I'm supposed to be looking for the paranormal, but I kept like, you know, like it was like, ooh, shiny object over here.
Yeah.
Like, I
So
gotta
did
read
anybody
this.
there kind of, you know that it was upstairs in the museum and you went through and you turned to your right and then there was that lady in that
Mhm.
little house just staring at you sitting in the
A little creepy,
rocking chair.
wasn't
That's a
she?
little creepy.
Are you talking about the sod house
Yeah.
inside the
yeah.
Indian
Yeah,
Center?
yeah.
No, I've seen it many times. It's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
That was my first time ever being in there, and I saw that, and I was like, oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
But that's where I put my recorder there,
Yeah.
and then we forgot it
I left
overnight.
it.
And then I left it. Yeah.
Took well care of it.
Yeah. Well, that was funny because in that same area, but around the corner, there was a closet right next to the restroom, and I was wanting to.
Was he in it?
No, it was in the first rotation. You were outside, but I walked in and there was a freaking mannequin, not even a head, just a body of it with this white like cloth over it. And I turned the corner to go into to just look at something because there's noises coming from that area. I go, holy shit! I lost my heart just because of the fact that and Lynn's just laughing her ass off because she knew exactly what I ran into, and I'm just like, oh my god, there's a goddamn mannequin in here. And there's no head to it, nothing. It was just I don't know, like a prop or something they didn't have out. It's just in storage. So it's just like, holy shit. That scared me worse than actual ghosts and the noise that we heard going on that night. It was fun, but that's what we do. I mean, like I said, we get to see, like I said, scenes that nobody else, behind the scenes things nobody else gets to, you know, the public doesn't get to see. And that's what I love doing, what we do, and finding.
What's crazy
Ghosts.
is, you know, as many times as we do this,
Mhm.
and we set, you know, we get ourselves set up, and we guide other people through it at times instead of just doing our own personal investigation.
Right.
There's still stuff that startles the crap out.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, every time. Yeah.
That I have to take a step back and like catch my breath and be like, it's fine.
Usually it's
fine."
something inanimate like a
Yeah.
mannequin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time in Dodge, it was one of the people in our group. For me, I just didn't see him. We were in
Oh,
the
my God.
basement. You'd stepped around the corner over by the ductwork.
Uh-huh.
I didn't see him go over there. He was being really quiet, and I went
Right.
over there. I about hit my head on everything, and I seen him.
Well, it's like Wilson in that creepy
Oh, down in the basement.
demon mannequin thing
Yeah.
that they got, you know, down in
Wilson.
the basement. at
Where we
Wilson.
set up.
Oh yeah.
It's
The
that-
Indian, yeah, and the in the freezer.
I don't know
We
what
had
he
a
is. He's got a
DVR.
tuxedo and a monster
Turn that
face and
corner. I
everything.
don't know how
and-
people, we knew it was down there. I don't know, people came
Every
around
time-
the corner and saw that thing and about shit themselves.
But
Like,
every
"Holy
time I
shit."
went down there by myself to check on the DVR, I'd look over in the corner. I'm like, Jesus, why am I looking at you? You know?
Somebody throw a blanket over the.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I-
should have.
I put it a certain way, hopefully it would, A, scare the shit out of people, but B, also that the thing was reported to
Thanks,
move.
man.
Oh, really?
That's right, I remember that.
So I put it a certain way to see if it would move, and yeah, it's just staring at you the whole time. You're done by watching the DVR, and it's just right there next to you. You're like, okay, it's a big, tall. I mean, it's probably like 6 foot tall. I mean, not that tall, but it's pretty.
How about the octopus
Squidward and Dodge?
in Dodge?
Oh, that
The
creepy
debug-
mannequin
God, that
with the
thing
big
always
toupee
still gets-
thing
Yeah,
on?
that thing always gets me.
Squidward. The fun thing about Squidward, it used to be move around a lot, and yeah, because I remember that from the very first time I went out there, like in 2011 or whatever it was, and Carl told us about it, and just seeing that thing, it's just like, holy shit, that's creepy looking. It's white and just
Big.
yeah,
It's
it's
big.
huge. Yep. He used to put it out, move it around, and put it in different things, so people were to come by and just scare the shit out of him. That's Carl's little sense of humor, you know. And love the guy, and he just. They didn't use it, so he was mad they didn't use it. So
Well,
like,
I
screw it, we'll
understand
move it
after
around and
all that
fuck
work
with people
and
on
not
it.
use it, yeah. Why not screw
That
with
was
people,
awesome.
man?
Yep, good
Now they got a dummy laying on it.
Yeah.
Another dummy.
That dummy's
Really?
creepy too.
No, I was waiting.
He's down there passed out on it.
It's just right.
It's just Ruth, yep. Oh goodness, fun stuff, man. Well, I think this is a good time. We can take our first break.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
And
8
we'll come
o'clock.
back and talk about some more fun stuff as Jason runs off camera. So,
Guys, please
Like and
check
share.
us back here in about 10 minutes.
yeah, make sure you like, subscribe
Like
to
and
the
share.
page,
Do it.
the video. What he's trying to say, I'm walking over him, sorry.
No.
Yep, we'll be back.
Alrighty.
You alright, buddy?
Yeah, I just gotta get